The pursuit of self-improvement is something almost everyone can identify with. Maybe you want to make new friends, try out a new activity, or maybe you just want to visit a place you've never been to before. For some of us, any of these ventures could be taken in stride, easily accomplished without too much effort. However, achieving things in the public eye is not so simple for others, including myself. The feeling of having everyone's eyes on you at all times, evaluating and judging your appearance, your way of doing things, even your mannerisms, it's almost painful. We want to grow and become better, more dynamic people, but the fear of that feeling causes us to avoid situations and contain ourselves within our own little bubbles. That burning feeling in the back of your mind and your heart, that's called social anxiety, and you aren't alone if you suffer from this affliction. Approximately 15 million Americans have been diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, and 40 million Americans have been diagnosed with some kind of anxiety-related disorder. That's almost 20% of the population. Social anxiety makes growing outside of your comfort zone, meeting new people, and trying new things difficult. Difficult, but not impossible. Today, we're going to talk about how we can all overcome our social anxiety, little by little, using the power of two simple words. Screw it. Let's get started. Now, saying screw it isn't meant to sound flippant. It's important to note that there are varying degrees of social anxiety disorder, and it can even be debilitating for some people. However, it can be overcome, and I'm using screw it here as an all-encompassing rebranding for a few concepts that have been proven to work for those with this disorder: cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, and exposure therapy. As you can see, the official terminology for these treatments is far less sexy than screw it. So I'm going to go ahead and use these words as a replacement. Just know that we're talking about processes that are effective and backed by science. Side note, depending on your level of social anxiety, some form of prescription medication might also be beneficial in helping you to get things under control. This is something you will need to discuss with your healthcare provider, as I am not qualified to provide medical advice. I just want to help you grow and achieve your goals. Before we dive deeper into screw it, let's take some time to talk about goals. You probably have a bucket list, right? A list of things you'd like to do that started out as a sticky note, then spread to the Notes app in your phone, and now all of a sudden takes up an entire folder in your Google Drive, complete with links, images, and charts. Okay, that might just be me. But if you have social anxiety, odds are that there's a list of things you want to do, but you keep putting them off and pushing them down. Maybe you want to work out more and live a healthier lifestyle, but you're afraid of people watching you at the gym or judging you for checking out at the supermarket with 2 weeks worth of groceries. Or perhaps you want to put more of an effort into your education, but the very thought of raising your hand to ask a question or share your thoughts with so many people around you sends a shiver down your spine. So, instead of risking these uncomfortable feelings, you do nothing. Instead, you get caught in something I not so affectionately call the tomorrow circle, which looks something like this. Step 1. You tell yourself you are going to complete a task or go outside your comfort zone in some way. Step 2. You skip out on completing step 1 due to the mental resistance caused by your anxiety. You feel guilty for not accomplishing your goal, so you tell yourself you'll definitely do it tomorrow. Step 3. Tomorrow arrives and the cycle begins anew. Hence, the tomorrow circle. This and all of the described instances are examples of avoidance, which is a symptom of social anxiety disorder. In these cases, your mind is so wrapped up in the notion of rejection, criticism, what other people think, and even the thought of being perceived by other people, that it's not taking reality into consideration. It's keeping you in a constant state of fight or flight and preventing you from accomplishing your goals out of an unfounded fear. Take a second to think about why someone would be watching you at the gym. What if they're watching you because you're wearing a cool shirt? Or maybe they're watching out for you in case you need help. Or, better yet, what if they want to strike up a conversation with you, but their own social anxiety is holding them back? That person watching you at the supermarket checkout? They could be having an inner battle because they want to ask you if you need help carrying so many things to your car, but they're shy. Oh, and that classroom full of other students, they're probably either trying to learn just as hard as you, or they're so wrapped up in their own worlds that they barely know you exist. The reality is, many of life's interactions exist at these two extremes. People either don't know you exist, or they're going through it just like you are. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's Household Pulse Survey, 32.3% of adults reported symptoms of anxiety and depression in 2023 alone. With that in mind, it's becoming increasingly clear that the true issue with social anxiety comes down to one thing: it truly is all in our heads. It's so unlikely that people are watching you to judge you or form negative opinions about you, and there's a high likelihood that they're concerned you're thinking the same things about them. This is where Screw It comes in. To start, we need to analyze the thoughts that make us anxious in the first place. Yes, thinking about thoughts is a little abstract as a concept, but it's part of the process. Just like the example with the people in the gym, the supermarket, and the classroom, we need to learn to spot the negative or inaccurate thoughts that trigger our social anxiety. Once we begin to recognize and become mindful of those thoughts, we can then reshape and recontextualize them to overcome them. These first steps are the CBT portion of Screw It, and they're admittedly not as aggressive or confrontational as the name implies. However, they do go a long way toward helping make the next part less scary and more digestible: exposure therapy. By definition, exposure therapy is the process of immersing yourself in the situations that give you anxiety, little by little, until you build up an immunity and become accustomed to them, including dreaded things like judgment and rejection. Following through with our previous examples, that would mean going to the gym, shopping for large amounts of groceries with confidence, and engaging with teachers and classmates. Before too long, you'll learn that most situations that trigger your anxiety aren't really all that bad. When you've taken the proper steps and you feel comfortable enough to stop holding yourself back and just say screw it, that's when you'll begin conquering your social anxiety and growing into the mindful, confident, emotionally intelligent person you were always meant to become. Just remember to progress at a rate you are comfortable with, and that overcoming social anxiety will take some time. It also won't be an easy road. You're going to make mistakes and get embarrassed along the way, but it's all part of the process, and you can do it. I believe in you, and we're all in this together.